Day, everybody. My name is Dennis Collier, and I have decided to start a YouTube channel. I thought, I thought this was a podcast. I think that it's both. Whatever it is that I'm starting, anyone that knows me personally would find it surprising that I'm doing it. And that would be because of my well known aversion to all forms of technology invented after the year 1998. For example, I have gone through large swaths of my adult life without the use of a cellular telephone. Now, I do admit I have one now. In fact, I have it right here at the moment. I can show it to you. This is my phone, and it actually this model is like 7 years old, and it doesn't really do too much. Like you can't get on the internet or anything like that using this. In fact, really the only reason why I have this is like in case my car breaks down in the 401. Fun fact, I did use it just the other day to send for the first time ever something that kids these days are calling a text. It was to a student, actually, to a dietetic intern. I, uh, I did not enjoy it. I hope to send no future texts. And social media, this 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 is basically the very antithesis of my personality. I have never been on Facebook. I've never been on Instagram. Never been on TikTok. Isn't someone trying to ban TikTok somewhere? I actually was on Twitter once. This was like the early 2010s. This is the photo I used, actually. I only got on there because I felt like it was what I should be doing, but it was such a chore for me. It was literally work. I found like I just did not have two or three or four things to say every single day in 140 characters or less that were important. By the way, neither do you. But just as surely as I have always loathed technology, I have always loved nutrition, athletics, and performance, and Canada. And so here we are. Here's the big question. What exactly is my goal for all of this? I think the best way for me to explain why I'm doing all this would be to tell a little story. I often find stories are instructive. And this story is about a painter named Renoir. I forget when I first heard this story, but whenever I heard it, at the time, I really knew nothing about art. And I'm by no means an expert today, but at the time, I knew absolutely nothing. But yet, even then, I had at least heard the name Renoir. And I think that in itself speaks to this guy's legacy among the pantheon of greatest painters who ever lived. You want to talk about elite? Renoir was the elite of the elite. But Renoir was not always that. And this particular story takes place very early in his career, and it seems evidently for Renoir, as it does for so many people, that old adage applies that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Anyway, evidently, Renoir was toiling for years and years before anybody thought he was any good at all. But what this story illustrates, the takeaway message, if you will, is that that was really never Renoir's objective in the first place. So the story takes place in his early years. He has no money. Nobody knows who he is. But he is at an art show exhibiting the work that he has created. When along comes a critic, and this critic examines the art that Renoir has displayed, and then the critic says to Renoir, in what I can only imagine to be the snobbiest of Parisian accents, "You are painting, I assume, to amuse yourself?" To which Renoir gives the greatest comeback of all time. His response is actually so profound, it could be interpreted in multiple levels. I'll tell you the one that I prefer in a second, but another way you could interpret Renoir's comeback is that he just cares so little about what this dude thinks of him. He doesn't even realize he's been insulted, which I also think is fantastic. But my preferred interpretation is just simply the literal interpretation of what Renoir says. So again, to set the stage, the critic looks at the art that he has created and says, "You are painting, I assume, to amuse yourself?" To which Renoir says, "Yeah, that's exactly why I'm painting." All internal. A person just doing something because they, honest to goodness, are having a great time doing it. I can tell you on more than one occasion through this process when I was doing things like researching the science behind these sports, or maybe even better, thinking up ways to help these athletes tell their stories. And then never mind the privilege of getting to have conversations with the elite athletes of Canada. I'm being fully honest when I say there was more than one occasion during this process when I would look up from whatever I was doing and look at my wife and just say to her, "You know what? There is honestly nothing I could find more interesting than doing this." Now, I genuinely hope that you too can get some value and information and entertainment out of this YouTube channel or podcast. But just put it this way. If you can get a fraction of the value that I got internally from creating it, well, then it's going to be a good day for everybody.